Okay guys, I'm going to screencast the basics of how to make a V-Carve ornament. Certainly there's going to be a lot of individual questions, but I'm going to go over the big picture here. So I'm going to go File, New, not going to save that, and I'm going to start off with this screen. Every time I go to create a file, I'm going to choose my job size. Now this just refers to the stock that I'd put into the CNC machine, and I'll cut it down smaller. So I'm just going to do a 4-inch diameter circle as my ornament. So this is certainly greater than. I'm going to pay attention to the thickness. I'm going to put this in as 0.5 currently. That would be if I put a piece of 0.5 MDF in there, and I'll show you how to adjust that for individual if you want to go thinner or whatnot. So I'm going to hit OK. And what pops up is this screen here. This is the 2D view, and you need to think of this panel over here as pretty much your sketch panel in Fusion 360. Right here is a draw circle. I'm going to left click on that, and then this pop-up comes up here, and this has got information. So right now, if I just hit enter, I'd have the center at this X and this Y, and it'd be a diameter of 3 inches. I'm going to change that to 4. And then to choose the center, I'm going to come over here about 2.5 inches up, 2.5 inches down. If I really wanted to make it exactly, I could, but I'm going to left click there, and that placed at this center point a 4-inch diameter circle. I'm going to hit apply and then close, and I have a circle there. If I click on the circle itself and then click again, I can certainly move it around, but basically I want it down in the lower left-hand corner. This is just going to be convenient for me as I run these. It'll make it so that I can get, a lot of pieces out of a single piece of wood. We don't want to put it right in the middle and mar that. I'll put the next one up here so that when we actually go through and machine these, we'll do that. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over bringing in a picture. I've already downloaded a JPEG from the internet. It is black and white. That is my preferred option. Certainly, if you have a more complicated picture, that's probably just a discussion with me at that point. But to bring in a picture, I'm going to go up to File, Import, and I'm going to import a bitmap. That's what I'm calling a picture. So I'm going to import bitmap. It'll go. I've already saved some objects in my pictures folder, so I'm going to go ahead and hit Panther. And I want to bring it in as a JPEG. I believe a PNG will also work. Just got to be careful that I don't get a website. So I'm going to hit OK. And there my Panther comes in. So at this point, I'm going to, I think, relatively intuitively size it. I can grab the corners to do the aspect ratio lock and whatnot. And I'm going to place that Panther right there. And this is, I'm scrolling in and out with the rollerball and the mouse to do this, by the way. It's a little bit peculiar, but I believe that's centered. So I'm going to say that's okay. Now, I can't do anything yet to this. This is just a black and white image. While we see it, the computer does not see it. So the next step after bringing in a picture is to turn that picture into a vector. That would be things that are more acceptable by Fusion and whatnot, and rather than it just being artistic, we're going to turn it into the lines the computer recognizes. So I'm going to come up here to this button here, Trace Bitmap. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead here and hit Trace Bitmap, and it's going to change to get this pop up. I'm going to choose this drawing, and then I can mess here with the noise and whatnot. I don't think I need to at all. I'm just going to come down to the bottom of this and hit preview. I take a look at what it did, and it went through and it put lines around that, everything that was black. I like that. I'm going to go ahead and hit apply and then close. Now the picture is there. I can now machine that if I would like. So I'll go ahead and cut that out. I'm going to go to Toolpaths. I'm going to use a V-Carve engraving toolpath. It's the one that has the V on it. This is relatively simple beginning toolpath. The computer does all the work, so I'm going to left click there. I'm going to come over here and choose my vectors. Notice it kind of turns, I believe, a shade of blue. I apologize. Yeah, I'm colorblind if it's not blue. And I'm going to go ahead and we're just going to use the V-bit 90 degrees. Everything should be defaulted to there. The only question would be whether or not I want to give it a flat depth. I'll show you what that looks like here in a moment. So I'm going to hit calculate, and it automatically jumps to the 3D view tab, shows me the toolpath that it's going to take, and I will come over here and hit the, I call it the play button, but I'm going to run a preview, and it'll show me what it's going to do. So that's relatively nice. Little hard to zoom in on this. It won't allow me to zoom in. Rather, it just automatically zooms into the center. So you can play with that and kind of go in there like this, perhaps, and you can see that certainly it's carved that panther in there and given it some depth. All right, so that is the first toolpath. I'm going to go back to my 2D view, and I'm going to do some more work here. So I'm going to put some letters on here. I'm going to arc my letters because I just think that's a popular thing to do. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this here, the draw text, and then I'm going to just click up here in space and write the words Merry Christmas. All right, so I'm going to click on that and drag it out here where I can see. Okay, now I can control the size of this by text height. So for instance, if I changed from 0.4 to 1, I get much bigger. I like 0.4, not 1.4, but rather 0.4. I can go through and choose any font I want. So realize there's lots and lots of fonts. Do whatever you want. And I want to put that on arc here. So I'm going to go ahead and close this for now, leave the letters where they are, and I'm going to add another circle. The circle automatically is set up to go to the center point of my previous circle, which I'm going to take advantage of. I'm just going to change the diameter to 3. And then perhaps I want to move that down a little bit. I'm not sure exactly why that. Oh, I moved this circle after I set it there. So I'm going to go ahead and hit create and close. And then I'm going to click on my letters, shift click on that so I can highlight both of them. And then I'm going to come up here to the text on a curve button, the ABC over the curve. I'm going to set it there, and then I'm going to do some things. So I'm going to go ahead and move this out with the letters and transform it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees just by eye. Then I'm going to, flip the text on the other side. Then I'm going to come here and align it to curve, so my letters are aligned to curve. So that is what I want. I'm going to close this. I'm going to click on that. I accidentally put an extra circle in, and then I'm literally going to take this and drag it down into position. Actually, I'm going to delete this circle, and I'm just going to bring these letters down and drag it into position. So put it close, and then again I'm going to go by eye and place that. Rotate a little more. I'm going to call that good. Again, I might spend a little more time if I were really making this, but this is already a vector, so I've inserted some letters. I might put 2022 or something like that, but again, this is just a proof of concept. So up here, I'm going to toolpath Merry Christmas now, and notice this still has my previous one on. So I close that, and then it brings up my toolpath operations. I'm going to also V-Carve this, and same, I won't really change any bits, and I'm going to hit calculate. It's going to automatically jump to the 3D view, just that, and then I'm going to preview it and take a look at that. So if I wanted to go deeper, I'd have to make the letters wider. I could do that by going bold or larger. Also, technically, there is an offset button you could ask me about. But there I have two things. Now I'm going to work on carving out the outside profile. So okay, so I have that on there. Now I'm going to go back to 2D view, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this circle out here. So I already have the circle on there. So now this toolpath is different. So I have to hit close there. This is a profile toolpath. The profile toolpath is pretty explanatory. It goes around the profile. Now, I have my stock set at 0.5 inches. So that's okay, but I need to know it because when I go through and do my profile, I want to go 2/100ths further than that. So it's going to actually go down through it, make sure to cut it all the way out, and that's why we put a spoil board on the CNC machine. So it just goes in there and we'll have a little circle carved into it that's 2/100ths of an inch deep. I want to make sure that I'm using a 0.25 inch end mill because that's just commonly what we put in there. I'm going to add tabs. I go to edit tabs. Oops, I got to select that better. I go to edit tabs, and I'm going to add a tab at the top and the bottom. This, you'll see in a moment, allows it to not come loose as I machine it and get marred at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and it gives me a warning that I'm going to go deeper than the stock. That's intentional. I hit OK, and then I preview that path. Now, what it has done is it has cut two tabs here and here. It's left a little bit of wood so that as this cuts it out and frees it, we have a spinning bit going 14,000 revolutions per minute. What we don't want to do is have this run into that bit and get marred. So now my final product is going to look, oops, calculate that and hit the profile and recalculate this. Hit that profile. So now this is what I have right now. So I just take the chisel, pop through that tab, sand those tabs flush with the outside of the circle, and I've done that. Now certainly I probably would also have a hole. I don't know that this is my best work, but this goes through the entire process of letters, importing an image, and cutting something out. If I wanted the parts of the panther to be higher and everything else to be carved lower, certainly I can flip those vectors, and that's just a simple conversation. But while I don't consider this really my finest work, it is certainly a good introduction. So please watch this, go through it, and then honestly, just it's going to be about getting my attention and having conversations, and we'll help each other.